Hey guys, and welcome back to Her Revision, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. And today we're going to talk about something that hits a little close to home, especially for me, because I've battled with it quite a few times in terms of feeling like you don't have enough support, especially when it comes to the things that you are trying to achieve and the things that are going to better you, and you feeling like, not to say that I don't have anybody or, I can't say that nobody's in my corner, but it just feels like it doesn't matter to as many people that I thought it would as it does for me, or as much support as I would give others. It doesn't feel like the reciprocation is there. I don't feel a lot of support. That is something we're going to talk about today, because I didn't realize, one, that it has been a recurring thought of mine. Catastrophic, indeed. It has been a recurring catastrophic thought for me, and I have to actively challenge myself in regards to, but also it is something that so many of us go through and we feel, because having support really does make all the difference. But I do want to talk about the importance of the quality of support and not so much the quantity of support. I've had moments where I felt like I was the only one cheering myself on. Like I really had to do this by myself. I had to push myself through. I had to make myself my biggest fan in order for me to really feel like Jazz, you can do this. And when it all is said and done and you think about it, in reality, you are your biggest fan and you are going to be your biggest motivation most times. But I remember feeling like I am so much to so many people. Why does it feel like I'm the only one that believes in me? Why is it that I feel like this when I shouldn't have? Is this any reflection on what I'm capable of? Or should I even pursue the thing that I'm aspiring to do or be? Where is everybody? You know what I'm saying? But I had to give myself, and I constantly have to give myself a reality check, because when I stopped and I took a step back and I looked, it wasn't so much that I did not have support. It was that I was looking for a crowd of people to be cheering me on instead of a few quality people in my corner. I equated my support and my worth to how many people were actually there for me and supporting me and rooting for me and really thinking that I could achieve all the things that I felt like I achieved. I equated that with the quantity of people versus the few people that I might have had at this stage in my life who were seeing all that I was worth and who were rooting for me, those few people being the core support for me. I realized that one of the biggest reasons why this is such a thing in such a reoccurring thought, especially depending on the thing that you want to do in this life, is like when it comes to like content creation, if that's one of your goals or you want to be an influencer or whatever the case may be. When it has something to do with like a creative aspiration, you have to equate that to social media because it plays such a big role and influence in your life, right? So for me personally, one of the things that I wanted to do, i.e. this podcast, was push myself to know that I could create a podcast that was worthy of reaching the masses and being all that I ever dreamed that it could be. And let's not even say just this podcast. There's been so many endeavors where I got discouraged because I had started it, and then when I did not see the support, or when I didn't feel like I was getting enough accolades or people behind me, that I gave up, because I equated my success with a mass amount of support. And we live in a world now where likes and follower counts and a lot of shares or how many views you get and the amount of downloads, and we live in a time where that is so important. It is such a big factor that people heavily rely on when it comes to getting deals, when it comes to getting sponsorships in a creative field. We think that our support heavily lies in those key factors: how many followers you have, how many likes you have, et cetera, et cetera. And it can be so disheartening that if the people that you think should be in your corner are not able to either they're not sharing your stuff or they're not promoting it, like that, it can make you feel like nobody cares as much as you do, or it's not as good as you think it is. Or on the other hand, if there's only a couple of people cheering you on, maybe it's just your best friend and your mom, or maybe a couple of your friends, or, just a family member, you start to think that if I just had more people showing me support, if I had more people cheering me on, that would make me feel more motivated. That would make me feel confident. It would make me not feel like I'm not doing enough or that I want to give up. The issue with this, though, is that it places our self-worth in the hands of how many people support us and not in how well we're being supported. Because if I learned anything, people will cheer for you when they see that your success is being quantified. People will cheer for you when they see that those accolades that we talk about, the likes, the followers, the shares, the views, that is being pushed or it's prevalent, right? But when it comes to the key people that matter, whether it is your family member or your best friend or your significant other cheering you on, the amount of care that these people have, even if it's not a lot, you know that they are always going to be in your corner, or those few people or that one person, whoever it is, they really believe in you. This is not for a gimmick. This is not for play. This is not for because of your likes or your followers or whatever the case may be. It's because they care about what you care about. When you chase the numbers, whether in your career or your personal life or in social media, it can only lead to disappointment because the validation will never be enough. It'll never be like, oh, now I've hit it. You'll always want more. You'll always be looking for validation within the masses saying that you're good enough. What I'm starting to realize is that not even just creative, right? Because the creative field is something that I am in and that I'm interested in. But even for people that have a different career field, whether you are going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or a therapist, or maybe you're going to be a lash tech or whatever your field or your dream is, you want to be an actress or you want to be a singer, songwriter, you could have 100 or 200 people supporting you at one time. Thousands of people supporting you at one time. If they are not really believing in your journey, if they are not truly invested in your journey, that validation and that support doesn't mean anything. On the other hand, one or two people that genuinely pour into you makes a difference. Those one or two people that support you, that check on you to see where your mental is, that checks on you to make sure that you're good, that the things that you said you wanted to do, that you're on top of it, that checks to see if there's anything that they can do for you, or if they know that you're battling with something or excited about something, they are with you every step of the way. Those are the people that makes the difference. So how do you recognize quality support, right? Because we know what quantity support looks like. We know that hundreds and thousands of people that are saying that they love you and they love your content or they love what you got going on, they love the drive that you have. And we know that support is significant because of the number, right? But what does quality support look like? Quality support is not just about the people that are clapping for you when you win. It is about the people who are there with you through the grind, who are there with you through the sweat and the tears, who are there with you when you are going through it, who knows how difficult it is, but that you keep pushing. Those are the people that check on you to see in what way they can best be there, in what way they can best assist you with whatever you need, in whatever capacity they are able to do so. Quality support looks like deep conversations or thoughtful advice or just quality time and being there. And it might not necessarily be somebody who knows exactly what you have going on or can give you career advice or can give you, advice that can help you further the goals and aspirations that you are seeking or that you're working on. But it can be somebody who just knows that maybe you just need a listening ear. Or maybe you need somebody to take you away from the stress of whatever you have going on and all of the work that you need to do. So they want to take you out for a bite to eat, or they just want to pick your brain or make you laugh. That's support. It's the consistent encouragement. It's the people that tell you regularly how much they see in you and how much they want to just give you your flowers, even when nobody is watching. That's support. There's characteristics of true support. And as I say these things and these characteristics, make sure that you're actively trying to pinpoint people in your life who has been there for you, even when you might not have realized, like, wait, I've been thinking of it all wrong. I appreciate them because they have been supporting me. I want you to pinpoint these people and identify who they are. And even if you just shoot them a quick little thank you for your support, you're probably not even going to know what you're talking about. But the characteristics of true support to me is active. It's not passive. Active support to me is someone who is taking the time to understand what you truly want, who's understanding what you're truly into. They're listening to your ideas. They care about the thought process. They're not just listening to you talk about it and not really caring in one ear and out the other. They're the person that will bring it up a week or so later when you thought they weren't even paying attention, that can recount something that you told them and then ask if they can help you with that, or that can bring up something that you might have said or did towards your goals or your aspirations and remind you of your strengths when you start to get a little overwhelmed. That is active support. It's someone who's not just here to praise you, because support sometimes doesn't look like happy-go-lucky cheering on. Sometimes it looks like honest and effective feedback. Sometimes it's, I like where you're going with this, but friend, if I can give you a little feedback, this is what I would say. Sometimes it's somebody being able to invest in your growth and not just in your victories, not just in you winning or you doing good, or not just only being there when you're up. You get what I'm saying? They encourage the small wins just as much as they encourage the big ones, just as much as they cheer you on for the big ones. They encourage the fact that today I studied for 2 hours. They encourage the small wins and not just the big wins. Maybe you haven't fully started the business yet or launched yet, but you successfully got an EIN number today. You successfully made a deposit towards your inventory. Whatever the case may be, they celebrate with you despite you maybe not reaching the milestone that you think is important, but them reminding you and encouraging you to keep going even when you feel like giving up, even when you feel like your enough is not enough. When I think about the times when I felt most supported, it wasn't always from the people who were in the front row or the people who were blowing up my comments and my mentions. Sometimes it was from my therapist who told me she was proud of me, or my mom who really took an interest in what I had to say and wanted to share it with everybody she knew. Maybe it was my little brother who I would have never thought would have even found interest in the things that I'm interested in, but was able to text me and tell me how happy he was for me. Maybe it was my friend or whomever that just told me like that they were excited for me and my journey. That was the support that really counted. So even though I was very happy and ecstatic when all of my mentions and my comments were blowing up and everybody was so happy and, oh girl, I love this, keep going, it was the people in the back. It was the people in my core corner, the people that had never left, the people that were there pre-idea, pre-goal or career move or whatever the case that were there. That was the support that I needed to remember as the support, the ones that truly mattered. That if this crumbles and I have to rebuild, they're still going to be here. So how do you combat those feelings of feeling unsupported? How do you train your mind to not care so much about people that you barely know or the masses supporting you? How do you remind yourself that maybe it might not be exactly what you want right now? Everybody might not be on to what you know is greatness, or you know who you'll be. But how do you remind yourself that you're not unsupported, right? First, we have to check our expectations. I had to check myself. Was I expecting everybody to support me at the same level, either A, that I would support them, or at the same level as the next person supporting me? Because that was unrealistic and it was unfair. People can only give you what they have, right? So if that came down to one person in my life maybe only being able to send me an encouraging word every now and again, but not being able to, stay on the phone with me and just hear me cry, that is okay. I had to train myself to not focus so much on what people could not give me and more so what they could, and be okay with that, because what one person may not, it could be compensated in other areas with someone else. You have to appreciate the people that can and what they can do for you. And then the biggest one for me is I had to stop comparing. I was, and it's still a battle. I can't even say I was. I still to this day compare somebody else, whether that be somebody I know personally or somebody on social media. I start to compare the army of people that I feel like are behind them, backing them up. Meanwhile, it's me here with a couple of people in my corner. I had to stop comparing myself to their support because my journey is not theirs. What they may have had to overcome or to work out is probably not even close to what I had to. Or maybe it's a facade, you never know. But what I had to realize is what could have took them 10 years and you're finally seeing the fruits of their labor could have taken me too. And like I'm over here pouting, you know what I'm saying? What they could have shelled out thousands of dollars on something that I didn't even have to invest in at this stage in my life, or that would have put me in the hole, but I'm seeing their win, and my mind is starting to trick me into saying they're doing something better than you, or because they have people that's giving them this accolades and it's giving them all this encouragement, that's what kept them going. Because I see all of the people in their corner, they have all the friends and the family members and they're so excited. Who knew who was really with them during the grind? Because that's really what it boils down to. Even so, hypothetically speaking, that's not the case at all for the person that you might be comparing. Maybe they didn't have a hard knock life story, and maybe it did come that easy for them, or they were able to just achieve that, and there's just so many people in their corner giving them praise. That's okay too. Because at the end of the day, their journey is still not yours, and comparison is a thief of joy. And if you're not careful, it can blind you to the quality of support that you actually do have. Instead of focusing on who isn't there, reframe your mind to think who is here and how are they showing up for me? Or even in small ways, how are they showing up for me? Right? You have to shift your thinking to the value of the support, no matter how small it is, versus the volume of support and how many encouraging things how many people saying that they love you and they love what you got going on and they're so proud of you. You have to switch that thought, right? Who here in my life is showing up for me even in small ways? It is better to me to have the few people in my life here that I know really support me than 100 people here who are just for the show, who are just here when I'm doing good, who are just here when I've achieved all I said I would. You have to remind yourself to actively be grateful. And I've talked about the act of gratefulness often, but it's the person that maybe sends you an encouraging text every week, or maybe one of the family members or friends that you have that shares your content every time you post. Maybe it's your spouse or your significant other that makes sure that they tell you how proud they are of you. Whatever it is, you have to remember to stay grateful for those things. Because if you ground yourself in your gratefulness, when the overflow of support does come from other avenues, half of that won't even matter because you're already fulfilled. Because a lot of the times, even though the support may not be as loud as you'd like it to, it may just be as impactful. You have to retrain your mind. Is it just because it's not a lot? Is it just because it's not loud? Is it just because nobody's shouting it from the rooftops, or you feel like it's not coming from everybody who you know said that they would be there for you or would support you? Or is it because it's not impactful? Because you have to make sure that you're asking yourself and you're checking in with yourself if the support in those texts or those shares are from the little bit of people that ask you about what your craft is or what you love or what you're working on, if that matters to you. Because if it matters to you, focus on that. I think one of the things that I'm grateful that I have done and that I think is super important is to invest in meaningful relationships. When you take for granted the people around you that have supported you, that are actively supporting you, you miss out on the opportunity to really. But also, investing in meaningful relationships means the people that you know really care about you. You have to be able to open your mouth and ask for the type of support that you need. Sometimes the people that love and care about you may not even know exactly what you need. Don't just assume that people will do what you feel like they will or will support you in the way that you feel like they should because of whatever you're passionate about or because of what you have going on. Because honestly, it's unrealistic. And it's a lot of expectation on people that do not share the same aspirations and goals that you do. They're not you. They can only be and do to the capacity that you allow them to. So ask. Tell people what you need from them. Also, if you have listened to this whole thing and you've realized, like, I don't have anybody in my corner, I have nobody, which I'm not going to say it's impossible, but you also have to diversify your support. If I've realized anything, is that one person cannot be everything. Sometimes the type of support that we need has to come in different forms from different people. I may have my best friend who gives me emotional support. I may find people that I follow or doing the same things that I like that can give me practical advice, especially from just watching them. Or maybe I'll reach out and ask for support, or that can provide inspiration for me. But I have to make sure that I'm not looking for one person or one group of people to be everything to me that I need in support. Because sometimes you have to be the one to go out and get what you need. That little nugget just reminds you to be a little less dependent on people and a lot more balanced with your goals and your aspirations and just having like a good system around you. I want to leave you with 2 key tips that I feel like will be very helpful in terms of finding and keeping quality support. The first thing is I don't have a support journal, but I have a journal that I regularly put what I'm grateful for. So what I think would be helpful is to start a support gratitude journal. Even jotting down every time you feel like you've been supported, every time a family member or a friend or your significant other says something to you that makes you feel support, write down that exact moment and how it made you feel. Because sometimes when we start to get in our heads and we start to put these thoughts into our minds that we don't have enough support or nobody believes in us, I'll go back to this. Well, in my case, I'll go back to my journal and I'll read entries of times when I felt like I had support, of really inspiring times for me when somebody checked in on me, or they gave me the support that I needed, or they uplifted me in any type of way. It'll make me reflect on that. It'll also make me challenge the thought that I have no support and help me see the value in quality over quantity. And the last thing, and something that I'm actively starting to do a lot more now, is to reach out to those core support members of yours, who your core support system is, and just thank them. Or not even if you said thank you, just actively making sure that you are letting them know how much you appreciate them. And staying in communication with them can make you feel less alone in this journey. It'll make you feel like maybe I do have people around me, and it may not be all who I want in this, or like the thousands and thousands of people, but I have a system. I have a core group. And that is enough for me because they matter. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to follow me over there on Instagram at Her Revision Podcast. I love you guys so much. Tell me what you like. Tell me what inspires you. Tell me what you'd like to hear in terms of future content. I am all ears. Until next time. Bye.